Hi, Pat here today with Healthier Money. I'm talking to Jessica Bischof, who I admire tremendously. Jessica, you're just starting off in a new career. You had been in a relationship where you were very successful, and unfortunately things didn't work out. But boy, that hasn't slowed you down a bit. So I really want to know, what is it that drives you? Why are you so passionate about really taking control of your life and making a financial difference for yourself?
Well, like you referred to, I went through kind of a setback. I went through a divorce, and my life kind of changed. But the vision I had for myself wasn't what panned out. And I just was able to really get some great coaching and realize that we always have an opportunity in life to choose what we want to create, what we want to manifest, and that we can either be a victim or we can be a creator. And it's a lot more fun, a lot more empowering to be a creator.
And would you, if you could give women like successful young women like yourself, or women that are going to be starting out, and whether they're have gone through a setback or not, what are the couple of core principles that drive you on a daily basis?
I think just the realization, number one, that I get to design my life on purpose.
Okay.
And I always have control over how I choose to react to life. Life is going to happen. I can't always pick it, but I can always control and choose my reaction, number one. And then the second thing I would say is just surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with people who are going to be your cheerleaders, who are going to have your back and be able to go for them for advice and help them or allow them to help you to carry out your vision.
Well, it's exciting today because we're sitting in front of your first kind of investment property,
Yep.
So were you really, nervous? Were you scared about that? You really excited? What's the long-term plan with kind of your retirement dreams and your vision with real estate and the different things that you're doing?
Yeah, well, like you referred to, I'm a realtor, so I love real estate. I love investing in real estate. I had it on my one-year vision that I was going to purchase an investment property in 2019. So coming up on fourth quarter, I put that on my 90-day goals, and I closed on that in November. Long term, I want to own 100 doors. It's a big, audacious goal. I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Right.
But long term, I want my real estate to be paying itself off and giving me cash flow.
So next year, I noticed when we were talking about goals and stuff, you really have a big, ambitious goal as far as the income that you want to make. So how are you going to go about doing that?
When we look at income, if we stop looking at it in terms of dollars and we look at it as an energy exchange, that's really what money is. It's a currency of energy exchange. And so what I see is the more value I can bring to the people I'm serving and the more people I can serve, the bigger my income can be. And so I'm really looking at it with who can I serve in 2020. My goal, you kind of referred to it, I have a goal to list 50 homes, to be there and represent 50 sellers in that process of selling a home and finding a new one. And so it's really about coming from a place of service that's going to allow me to expand my income.
I think one of the smart ideas you shared with me too is how you're really focusing on kind of one area, an area that's familiar to you, and are going to be doing a lot of marketing and networking and things in that area. I think that's a really smart plan for business. Too often I see people kind of taking the shotgun approach. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you learned by experience, or did someone tell you about that? What kind of is driving that marketing plan of yours?
I mean, I'm lucky enough that I've had a background with internet marketing and some really successful people in that kind of internet marketing world back in a previous life. And so just the idea of being a big fish in a small pond instead of trying to be a small fish in a big pond. So I do live in the Northwest Valley in North Peoria, and as far as my marketing, I'm focusing on that area so that I can get my name out to those people. But the other place that I'm really focusing is my sphere of influence, or my database. If you're kind of in the sales industry, you've probably heard of your sphere, and really taking the relationships that I already have and finding out how I can serve those people and their friends. And I think for any woman in business, establishing those relationships and the people who already know, like, and trust you, and working with those people and expanding your influence, starting with the people you know, is almost with any business. That's going to be a really successful way to get established and to get established very quickly.
Okay, a couple last questions. I know that, and I don't want to go there, and I don't want to dwell on it. When you went through your divorce, financially, did you feel prepared to kind of go out on your own, or was it really kind of a aha moment for you that you weren't involved as much in the finances as you should have been? Talk about what you went through and the emotions with that, and how are you dealing with that?
Yeah. In my marriage, I was the one who did the books, did the taxes, wrote the checks. So I didn't come from a place of having to learn that as I went out and became single again. As far as being prepared, I mean, my ex and I had a really successful business, and that was my long-term
Sure,
plan. And so all of
sure.
a sudden, I had to readjust and come up with a plan B. And I think whether you're going through a divorce, whether there can be a lot of different reasons why we end up coming up with a plan B in our 40s.
Right.
And so there are those moments of uncertainty for sure. I got married really young. I had never fully supported myself in my life as an adult. But I had a really interesting concept, and it's one I'll leave with you depending on if you're going through a reset or a plan B. Everything around you is what you've already created. And so when you realize, like, I've already created always having a roof over my head, always having food on the table, always having a car to drive, that was my story. I've always already had enough.
Right.
And that was me that created that through relationships or through whatever it was.
Right.
I've always had enough. I've always been okay. And that coming from that place of I've always been okay and I know I'll always be okay going forward.
Right.
I think it's Beyonce said, I don't bet, but if I was going to bet, I would bet on myself. And I
Ah.
love that that little pithy advice of it's always a good idea to bet on yourself.
I have been on this business going on 34 years, and the thing that I love about my business is the opportunity to meet people like you. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The moment I met you, just the way you presented yourself, how much self-confidence you have, your likability, I instantly was drawn to you and felt that, business aside, this is a woman that I definitely can be inspired by, and a woman that I definitely look up to. So I do believe that, like you say, you can play the victim, or you can do something about it. And there's no question that you've done something about it, and I am really excited to be part of the story to see where it ends up. From an investment standpoint, one of the things that Jessica and I came together on was really trying to provide some different ideas for her portfolio and building a foundation. So I feel fortunate that she's empowered some of that with us to really give her a strong foundation so that she can continue to layer some things around it and layer some assets on top of it, so that essentially knowing the foundation is good, then you can maybe take a little bit more risk or a little bit more growth. But the reality is too many people want to jump up here to the exciting thing, the accumulation and things like that, but they forget about kind of safety first and making sure that their feet are squarely planted on the ground. You said it. Roof over my head, food on the table, a car to drive.
Yeah.
And if you start off with little simple things like that, while they may seem wow, but if you can bring it down to that context and then you put it with a positive mental attitude like you in a game plan and get a little bit of support, Lord knows where this is going to go.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to tell women, especially maybe young professional women or women that are just starting off? I think a lot of women get this college degree and then they're wondering kind of what the next move is. As a self-employed entrepreneur, what would you say to other women starting out?
I think the single most important thing you can do is be bold in approaching women who you respect and approach them for networking, approach them for mentorship. Be honest about what your fears and your struggles are, and see those women who naturally come around you to support and include you. They say that we become, what's the saying? It's like we are a combination of our 5 closest relationships. And so if you look at the 5 people who are close to you, is that what you want to become? And so surrounding yourself with people who have been there, who are advancing, who have the positive outlook, and who want to help lift other people up together, I think that's the single most important. None of us can do this on our own.
Right.
Whatever business we're in, it's ultimately going to be relationships and referrals and vendors and partners. Doesn't
Sure.
matter if you're in sales or not.
Right.
And so be willing to put yourself out there in seeking relationships and partnerships and mentoring.
One last thing. Have you started, I know you have some little ones, have you started helping them with their finances and coaching them a little bit about money and what to do with it and, different things, or no?
Well, my little ones aren't so little. They're
Yeah.
18, 15, and 13. So, yeah, my
Right.
18-year-old, we're going through all of those things: car insurance, renter's
Right.
insurance, checking accounts, what not to do with your credit cards. But I think that, as far as with children, bring them into your finances. Let them know what things cost. Let them know what money is being made.
Right.
I actually showed my 15-year-old a commission check the other day. His eyes got big. But also give them the perspective of what it takes to earn the income, and then how quickly it can go, what it costs to maintain your household. Because I think as they enter adulthood, understanding money, understanding how it works, understanding the value of money and what we're actually buying with it, that we're trading our time to
Right.
create these things, you give them a strong foundation to get started.
Well, I don't care if you're a woman or a man. If you're not inspired by this, then I don't know what you're going to be inspired by. So, more importantly, thank you. As I said, I'm really excited to see what the future brings for you, and go out there and keep, knocking them dead. And more importantly, I know 50 doors is going to lead to 100 to 200, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the largest real estate owner, and you'll give Betsy Basha a run for her money. So, thanks for spending time with us today.
Thanks, Pat.
Take care.